What's up? What's up? Welcome into the award-winning Orange Zone podcast. I'm Tommy Sladek. This is Samantha Croston. We have Rachel Culver on the producer mic. A reminder, you can find every episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It's interesting, Sam. You can see a breakdown of where people listen, and it's all over.
I didn't even know Google Podcasts exist.
Exactly. Spotify and Apple kind of have the lead, but like Amazon is in the mix now, so people are listening wherever. They're also watching on YouTube. If you are watching from YouTube, what's up from the Skycam? How you doing? Welcome in. We are getting into this number 21. Hopefully they're number one day. Number 21 Syracuse women's basketball team. They are ranked. They are 17-3. They had a win-loss last week against both ranked teams. Last 3 games were a gauntlet of ranked teams. They went 2-1. Pretty good numbers to think that they came off this loss to Virginia Tech and still moved up a spot. Hokies just had their number. They crushed Notre Dame a few days before. This team's for real. They belong in the AP 25 and not just hovering on the edge like they were that we didn't agree with for weeks. They belong, and they've cemented their name in it for right now. The only thing they can do is keep going higher.
There's not even one doubt about it. I mean, the fact that Syracuse is 3-3 versus quad 1 opponents and undefeated versus quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4 teams is very impressive. Also have to shout it out. The entire year, Coach Leggett Jack has been saying, as far as the fans are concerned, she never begs people to come. Have you noticed that? She's like, we want you to come if you want to be there. But if you feel like you don't want to watch us yet, we're going to prove to you why we want you there. And we're going to prove to you why this is an amazing experience for you to come watch us and be around this team. 6,000 strong at the JMA Dome. That's awesome. That's amazing. You know, it's showing what she's building. And it's a team that, despite, the loss, it's a team that really does feel like there is consistent improvement.
Yes.
When we talked about the men's team, consistently inconsistent, I feel like this team is consistency. I feel like you see consistent improvement with them. And it is. It's exciting because you're not talking about, even last year when it was like, could they make the NCAA tournament? That's not the conversation here. Come on now.
It's where they're going to be.
Exactly. And just that national attention, I feel like even within the ACC, all of those analysts and experts who we see talking about all these teams, I think that there are some people who feel like, you know what, maybe I didn't show Syracuse enough credit to start. Yeah. I'm actually still a little, are you surprised at the ranking this week, or you think 21 is accurate?
It's frustrating, right? Because I think Virginia Tech's a good team, and I'm surprised that they're not higher. To me, if they had just a random win against, maybe a lower level ACC team to combine with that crushing over Notre Dame, I think they're probably moving up to like 16 or 17. But just because it's the loss, it hurts end of the day, and it stifled that a little bit. But for them to still move up a number show to me that the voters now have their respect. And
do you want to make a prediction right now?
Rachel's hopping in.
Go ahead.
What's up, Rach?
Not only respect, but confidence. You're not going to move up a team if you feel like going forward that's someone that's going to just fall back down anyways. I think it's almost more impactful for me to see them go up a number with a loss and a win than it is to see them go up a couple numbers with a big win and an average win. That loss.
Yeah.
Being in there is respectable.
I would say so. How about you?
100%. Well, what I was going to say is, I think we should all make a prediction right now, just so we can look back at the end of the season. And the question for this prediction is, what is the highest number that this team will be ranked in the AP poll by the end of the season? What's the highest you think they can get? And I'm just going to lock it in right now, just so nobody steals my answer. I'm going to go with 17. That's in. It's locked and loaded. It's done.
You think 17 is the highest?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go up to 12 or 13. I'm going to go up to 12 or 13. Actually,
you need to pick.
I might even go higher.
You can't be giving a range. It's one number.
I have to look at the standings again. It's interesting, given that the ACC is so respected, right? Mm-hmm. But they're kind of all clumped in the teens and 20s right now. The top 10 is very Big Ten heavy, very SEC heavy, obviously. So there's some teams that are there that are cemented, that are not moving. But I have every right to believe that Syracuse could end up winning the ACC regular season. and that they could end up winning the whole thing. And one of the reasons is because I just learned this today. And we had one of our viewers commented last week, and I'm sorry I never got back to you, but we found out today. Isabel Vergeau came in out the gates in the beginning of the season, right? And it was kind of like, okay, there's a big down low outside of Alyssa Latham, that's, Kyra Wood that's making some noise. She ended up being hurt. Felicia Legette didn't go into detail on, what her injury is. She's like, you are just going to have to ask her, but she said she was back at practice today and she should be ready to go next week. She's like, you don't know sometimes what you're missing, until it's gone and it comes back again. So to me, there's another missing piece to a team that's already been so successful. I'm going to say 10. I'm going to go with 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lock it in. Rach?
Lock it in.
Kind of going off Tommy's point where obviously the ACC is so well respected, but they're all kind of clumped together in those like high teen range right now. The only reason I feel a little bit of concern bumping them up like a tremendous amount is because they're going to be playing those teams throughout the rest of the season. Those teams that are kind of ranked, and even the ones that aren't in that poll, like there's not going to necessarily be like, if you're playing head on with someone and you beat them, which you like see all the time, it's easier to jump in those polls, but you're not going to be playing a lot of those teams that are above them. So that's why I kind of hesitate a little bit more to like throw them up a ton. So I kind of lean more Sam's way with this. I want to say like 16.
All right.
Did we say ceiling, or did we say, was it ceiling, or where do we think?
I think we did say ceiling.
Ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with giving them a high
10,
ceiling.
16, 17. And it's not like Price is Right rules or whatever. It's just whoever's the closest.
Yeah.
So you're the worst for picking 16.
That was bad. I do have something else to back this up. And I am at a little bit of an advantage because I did talk to the coach today.
Let's hear it.
She also let us in on that this past weekend. She said she's like, I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just giving you the reality. She's like, there were some funerals involved that, impacted some of our players. So some of them were maybe going through an emotionally tough time with Virginia Tech in town. It gives me even more reason to believe that they're coming back into a headspace that's even stronger.
Sure.
And it's going to be against the best team in the ACC right now, which is Louisville. Which just goes to show you that even with Haley Van Lith gone, they're still making noise. The Cardinals are still very good.
Speaking of Haley Van Lith gone, like she had a set at Louisville. It seemed like she was doing so well, and like whatever happening at LSU right now, I don't even know. But
sometimes the noise is a lot.
She looks confused in that one video on Twitter. Did you guys see that?
No.
Yes. It was a video of the coach had the clipboard, and like she drew up a play, and Haley Van Lith is just sitting there. She's like.
just looked like, huh?
She went like between the board and the court, and she was like,
the cameras are always watching. You forget.
Watching. Yeah. End of the day, she's a baller, and
totally.
I always wish players the best and that they can find their top shape. But it certainly has been a different story. But clearly, the team's still doing well. And to me, this is an opportunity. And by the time you're listening to this game will probably already have happened or just about to happen. But it's a big opportunity. And I just know that from everything we've seen that they can win these games. One of the issues for me that I think needs to change is the first halves have to be stronger. I appreciate the 18-point comeback. I appreciate the 19-point comeback, but I'd rather us not be in that situation.
Right.
Even against Virginia Tech, they went down, 14 at one point? I think we had written down Rachel. Syracuse got themselves in an early 14-point hole in the first quarter. They ended up coming back into the game. But, a good team like Virginia Tech, anytime it was in that 4 to 6 point range, Syracuse just couldn't break it. And credit to the Hokies.
I have to say, credit to the Hokies. It was impressive because you had that feeling like you've seen in the past, the fact that Syracuse can come back, or even when they're behind, they're never out. And the Hokies kept them out. They made it hard. And honestly, it didn't feel like Syracuse was ever truly back in that. Like, Virginia Tech was a momentum killer, they really they came into the Dome and they just kind of stomped on everybody. But yeah, looking ahead, I think it is interesting that Syracuse will face 3 more AP top 25 teams from the ACC in the team's 9 remaining in-conference regular season games. So you have sort of an interesting mix there. I'm happy that they're going to be seeing some high-level competition in the ACC, though. I think that's important to just continue to see where they stand.
Absolutely. And I believe, if I have this right, if Deasia Fair scores 24 points, she would slide from 9th all the way up to 6th.
Come on.
There's a really, it's crazy how much the gap is where players are just separated by a few points. So she could slide up to 6. There would be about another 100-point gap, so that would be a few games again. But it's really cool knowing that Deasia Fair is being a part of history right now. She keeps moving up the ladder, and not only does she have a chance to slide into the top 3 or 4 if they get a lot of ACC games and a few March Madness games, but Caitlin Clark's also doing kind of the exact same thing, and I believe she's second right now, or second or third, but
sounds right.
She is on pace to break it as well this year, so it's just exciting.
She is so cool. I wish Iowa could come here to the Dome.
Would be neat.
Wouldn't that be sick?
Yeah. Hey, maybe they face them in the tournament. You never know.
You just never know.
I was having this conversation with my mom recently, and my mom's a huge women's basketball fan, consumes it.
Love that.
She was just bringing up the point, she was like, you look at this entire landscape a couple years ago, and you think of Gino Arniema, you think of UConn, but now there's just so many teams that you can think of. There's so many household names. It's so cool to see.
Last year did so much for women's basketball, and having the biggest names competing in the Final Four in the championship game. People were talking about, was it South Carolina LSU, right? I mean, they were talking about that game for weeks, and it's the star power. The NIL is coming into that. It's the names are out there, and the product is the best it's ever been. And it's only going to keep getting better. You
know how people are always saying lacrosse is the fastest growing sport, which at some point we need to just give. It just can't be the fastest growing sport forever.
Where is it growing?
I like that it's become. I like that it's become almost this.
I know.
But funny thing.
But the reason I bring that up is because honestly, lately I'm looking at other sports that I feel really are growing rapidly, and I feel women's basketball and quite honestly volleyball.
Women's ice hockey too.
Women's ice hockey,
outpacing men 7-1.
What's
just done a story on
this. Right. What's growing fast is women's sports in general, and it is. It's really exciting to see. So I'm happy that Rachel brought that up.
Awesome. Well, any last thoughts before we head out of here?
My last thought is that I know that you have all probably seen the clips of this, but because you brought up Caitlin Clark, I'm just going to say it.
Sure.
Some of these 3-pointers from the logo are just are real icy. It is really, really interesting to watch. And I hope that one day we get to see Syracuse play that team. I think it would be really interesting, and I wonder how many fans it would draw out if they were to ever come to Syracuse for any reason.
Big time. You need a strong start if you want to play against the big dogs right now, because the big that's the thing right now with the state of the NCAA on the women's side is the big dogs are big dogs. On the men's side, everyone's losing. And they're not just losing once or twice. It's 3, 4. I think we're going to have 1, 2, 3 seeds. Some of them with 5, 6 losses. Now on the women's side, the big dogs are the big dogs, and to beat them, gotta be at your best. Team can do it. We'll see if they get the 10. All right.
I don't feel like the big dogs bark like that.
Yeah, that was like a Pomeranian. There we go.
Okay, you want me to try again?
Yeah, do it again.
Woof.
That was good.
That's a big dog.
That's a big dog sound. All right.
Thanks for watching.
Samantha Croston, Rachel Big Dog Culver. I'm Tommy Sladek. We're out of here. Peace.